Hey everyone, today we're making chicken stew with mushrooms and ale on the grill in a Dutch oven on the Cooking Everything Outdoors show. So first things first, let's talk about our ingredients. What I have here is 6 strips of bacon that I've pretty much, it's thick cut, I've cut in 1/2-inch pieces. Now the original recipe calls for a whole chicken cut up, and I have no dark meat eaters in this family, so I went with 2 large chicken breasts, and then I just cut those up in bite-sized pieces. You'll need a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper ground up fresh. You're going to need 2 leeks. These are sliced up. I've separated them, washed them really good, and sliced them up real thin, and included just a little bit of the green. About 12 ounces of cremini mushrooms that have been quartered. This is really about a dozen mushrooms. 1/2 teaspoon of thyme or thyme, however you'd like to pronounce it. 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. And a bottle of ale. Now I'm using Sammy Adams because I love this brand, seasonals. This is their Cold Snap, which is a white ale, and it has some spices added to it, so it's going to add just a little bit more flavor. So let's talk about our setup right now. What I have is a charcoal kettle that I have probably 20 or 30 coals lit up underneath. I'll be adding more as I go through this process, but this is just to get my Dutch oven going. And then I have a flat bottom, this is an antique Dutch oven that we're going to be cooking everything in. So the first thing we do, you're going to preheat this, and it'll probably take about 5 minutes. This is not quite there yet, but I want to add the bacon to this because we're going to use the bacon and the grease in this recipe. Okay, now the bacon's done, and at this point we want to remove it to drain. Just throw that on some paper towels. Now on the bottom here, there is a lot of bacon grease. Now, if you were using a whole chicken, it would have the skin and a lot of additional fat. So you would want to dump this grease out and leave about 2 tablespoons. I am going to leave a good portion of it in there because I have virtually no fat on those chicken breasts. Now we're going to add our chicken and salt and pepper to season it. So our chicken goes in. If it's hot, if there's water there, it'll splatter on you. Put that in there and get that cooking. It's going to pick up those bacon bits. And we want to brown this up. Or we can add our pepper. And our salt. When your chicken's fairly browned up, and it browns much easier if it's not as crowded as this. So when you're putting in a whole chicken, you certainly want to do fewer pieces. But this has got some color, and I'm happy with that. We're just going to pull this off. And now we want to add our leeks, or mushrooms, and our leeks. And we're going to cook these until the mushrooms are tender. And we're going to be scraping up any bits on the bottom of that. Get all that flavor mixed up in there. Lid back on and cook that down. Now we have our mushrooms nice and tender. Our leeks have cooked down. So I have a little bit of juice there in the bottom of that pan. We want to add our thyme, our brown sugar. Get that mixed up in there. And our ale, the whole bottle. Well, maybe a sip for the chef. Now take the chicken that you cooked, including the juices, and pour all that back in that pot. Now this is where we're going to cook the chicken till it's done. We're going to simmer this pot for maybe 20 or 30 minutes until the meat, the chicken, is no longer pink and the inside. It's going to reduce the stock. And we're going to have a nice stew here in a few minutes. So let's see how we're doing here. Oh yeah, oh my gosh. That is an aggressive simmer, but it looks fantastic. Some nice broth there. Smells incredible. And we'll just double check a piece of chicken there and make sure, yep, I think this is all done. Let's serve this up. We do need to sprinkle some of our bacon because we love our bacon. And that's about it. Before I go, I want you to take a second and visit my sponsors, Outdoor Cooking, Camp Chef, and Island Grillstone. Without them, none of this would be possible. There would be no Cooking Everything Outdoors show. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you when I see you.